My parents left my 6-year-old son at a church because I refused to give their favorite child $50,000. They claimed it was a lesson for me. 3 months later, the judge's ruling shocked them. Life has moments that change you forever, not because of what happens to you, but because of what someone does to your child. My parents always had a favorite. My brother Daniel, the one who could do no wrong, even when he messed everything up. I was just the one who cleaned up after him. For years, I supported them financially, paying their bills, fixing their car, even covering Daniel's wedding when he couldn't afford it. They always said, "You're successful because of us. You have to help your brother." But when they asked for $50,000 for Daniel's latest investment idea, something inside me broke. I said no, not because I didn't have it, but because I knew he would waste it again, leaving me with nothing but guilt. For once, I wanted to put myself first. My parents didn't take it well. My father's voice quivered with rage. He said I was abandoning the family for money. My mother coldly added that I would regret this and see the consequences of turning my back on blood. I didn't understand her words at that moment, but I would soon find out. It was a Sunday morning. I was at home making breakfast for my 6-year-old son, Caleb, who was humming while buttering his toast, radiating the simple joy only a child knows. Then my phone rang. It was the local pastor. "Is this Mark?" he asked gently. "I believe your son is here at the church." My heart dropped. "What? My son is there? Why?" He hesitated. "Your parents brought him here about an hour ago. They said you couldn't take care of him right now. They left no contact information, just a note." I froze, the spatula slipping from my hand. "They what?" I whispered. I rushed to the church, half-dressed, my heart pounding as if it would burst. When I arrived, Caleb was sitting on the steps with his little backpack, his cheeks red from crying. He ran into my arms the moment he saw me. "Daddy," he sobbed. "Grandma said you didn't want me anymore." My stomach twisted. I hugged him tightly, whispering, "No, no, no. Don't ever believe that. You're my whole world." He cried until he couldn't anymore. I then noticed the note they left. It was brief, written in my mother's cold handwriting. "If you're going to abandon this family, then you can see how it feels to be abandoned, too." That was the moment I stopped being their son. I didn't call them, not once, even when they texted Daniel's excuses about it being a lesson I needed to learn for refusing to give them money. That night, as I tucked Caleb into bed, he looked up and asked softly, "Did I do something wrong, Daddy?" I forced a smile through tears. "No, buddy. Some people just forget what love really means." I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I wrote everything down, dates, texts, bank transfers, and that note because deep down I knew this wasn't just cruelty. It was about control. And I was done letting them have any. In the following weeks, I focused on my son, therapy, laughter, and new routines. I wanted to rebuild our peace bit by bit. But my parents weren't done. They started calling again, leaving voicemails filled with self-righteous anger. "You humiliated us. You've turned the family against us. You owe your brother an apology." When I didn't reply, they sent one last message. "If you won't come to us, maybe we'll have to take this to court." I laughed bitterly at first, but then realized something. Maybe that's exactly what I wanted. So, I filed my own case first, seeking a restraining order for emotional distress and child endangerment. My lawyer, a calm older woman with a strong voice, read that note and shook her head. Abandoning a child like that isn't just heartless, it's criminal. Court dates were set and documents were filed. When the notice reached them, my parents called me in a fury, desperate. "How dare you drag us into this?" my father shouted. "You dared first," I replied coldly. "When you left my son on those church steps." They didn't respond, but Daniel did. He texted, "You're tearing the family apart for money." I responded, "No, Daniel. I'm holding it together for love." The weeks leading up to the hearing were long and heavy. I didn't tell Caleb much, just that Grandma and Grandpa wouldn't be around for a while. He nodded quietly and said, "That's okay. I still have you." Those words kept me going. Finally, the day arrived. The courtroom felt cold. My parents were on the other side, with Daniel absent this time. My mother looked polished as always, while my father sat stiffly beside her. When the judge read that note aloud, my mother's composure cracked, and I saw her jaw tremble for a moment. My lawyer presented the church records, the pastor's testimony, and the texts they sent me afterward. When the judge looked up, his expression was unreadable. He sighed, leaned back, and said, "This court takes the abandonment of a child very seriously. You may call it a lesson, but the law calls it negligence. The entire courtroom fell silent. Then he added, "You'll receive my final ruling in 90 days. But I'll say this. Actions like yours often have consequences that go beyond money." As I left the courtroom, I didn't feel victorious, just exhausted. But there was peace in knowing one thing. For once, they couldn't hurt us anymore. Caleb deserved a childhood free of cruelty, and I would fight every battle to give him that. 3 months later, I got a call from my lawyer. Her voice was calm but firm. "The judge's decision just came through," she said. "You might want to sit down for this." I did, and when she told me the judge's ruling, I realized karma doesn't wait. Sometimes it strikes right on time. What happened next left my parents speechless, and for the first time, they faced real consequences. When the ruling came, they thought they could talk their way out of it, but the judge's decision didn't just cost them money. It took away everything they used to control me. My lawyer called to say the verdict was ready, and I didn't feel nervous, just empty. For 3 months, I focused on work, Caleb, and pretending we were a normal family again. But that day, as I walked into the courthouse, I could feel something in the air, as if the weight of every cruel word they ever said was about to lift. My parents were already seated. My mother looked polished, but her eyes darted nervously. My father sat stiffly beside her. When the judge entered with papers, the room fell silent. I took a breath. This was it. He adjusted his glasses and began to speak. After careful consideration of all submitted evidence, including witness statements, text records, and the written note provided, this court finds the defendants, Mr. and Mrs. Walker, guilty of reckless endangerment and emotional abuse. My mother gasped. My father turned pale. The judge continued. While no criminal imprisonment will be pursued due to their age and being first-time offenders, the court issues the following civil judgment. The plaintiffs must pay full restitution for emotional damages, relinquish all claims to shared family assets, and are permanently prohibited from unsupervised contact with the child. My heart momentarily stopped, then raced faster, not from fear, but from relief. They couldn't harm Caleb again. Not his peace. Not his happiness. Not ever.